Do is the scientific advisory report was sent to everyone. This is the from Kyoko.
Oh.
I'm assuming there are no,
Okay, we're good to go.
okay, so there are no concerns there.
Oh,
It's a great report. It lets us know she's at a conference today. That's why she's not here, and she's gonna bring back all that information. And you know that the grant for the DAM was submitted, for the dam was submitted. And we'll be hopeful about that. I think we're gonna start off with, I asked Jake, as you know, from my email to you, to come up with sort of an organized approach to how we work together now that he's been here a minute, just about. So Jake, go ahead.
yeah, definitely. Well, first thing I want to know is that I think it's great how Bertine has updated our agenda. And the overall goal, I think, is that as we sort of add more and more stuff, that we're making sure we prioritize things. And I think what she has set up here is great. We're gonna sort of have regular agenda items. We're gonna have things that are sort of moving the 9E plan forward. There are things that we're planning on including in the 9E plan, but don't sort of have immediate plans to address. And then what was the last one? And then, of course, things that there's no waiting on, it's not really even a focus of what we're doing with the 9E plan, even if it gets mentioned, it's just an immediate thing. Right? We talked about the wake books, we've been talking about a bunch of different things. So that would sort of be the fourth category. And the few things that I wanted to hit on, now I will say that mostly people are quite good at this, so don't take offense if you're already doing this, but please try to keep me updated on all your communications, what we're doing. Largely anything that you would update Bertine on, I should be updated as well. And my goal is to hopefully be updated and have an understanding what we're doing before we do it, rather than kind of finding out afterwards stuff that we've done. So the goal overall is to not get in people's way, of course, but just to coordinate my watershed coordination as best as I can. And we're handling a lot of stuff. There's a lot of excellent volunteer work. So again, the last thing I want to do is get anybody's ways or step on any toes. Bertine is the model citizen as far as this. She sends me so many emails. Sometimes a depressing amount even. But no, it's all in service of just making sure I'm up to date on things and making sure I have that big picture on stuff. Now, the other sort of suggestion I had was, I feel like a good way that we can handle stuff in some of these meetings is that we have a topic come up. If it's a new topic, I think somebody should sort of volunteer to generally lay out what the issues are to make sure we're all on the same page. That generally happens now already. But after we've all discussed it, and you all have kind of come to the conclusion about what the next steps should be, I think we should specifically like call those out. These are our action items we're moving forward with, you know, whether that's Bill's gonna contact this group, or Jake's gonna set up a meeting, or, you know, Bonnie's gonna prepare a letter for us. We should have those as like identified items of what we're doing next. And then you all, as the voting representatives, should vote on it. And the end result also of that, I think, is that one of those items, when we have action items, should be reps reporting that to the corresponding town or village. And in terms of the village stuff, I'm going to start attending the board of trustee meetings. And I just think it's incumbent upon us, with all the things that we're dealing with, that we keep the village and the towns fully up to speed with what we've decided to work on. So that's generally the goal. You know, I think we could try to give that a try and see how that works. I'm perfectly willing to consider other options on that, but, you know, generally discuss the topic. If there are immediate things we're doing, or put a period on the end of that sentence, and you all vote on that, and then the next time we know, all right, this person was going to do this letter, this was going to happen, Jake was going to set up this meeting, whatever it happened to be, they were right there in our agenda, and we knew that they were being communicated to all the towns and village.
Great. I think it's a great plan. I love it. Are there any thoughts about that? Any modifications? Does it make sense? Both members and team members who are here on the phone. Any thoughts? Hey, Bill.
And Bill just came in, and we do also have Pat on.
But not Bonnie. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Okay, well, Jake, I think it's great. We're very lucky to have you. I feel like you're trying to, coordinate a group that has been a bit freelance for a few years. And I think that this is a welcome approach. I see only organization and clarity in it. So I think it's a good approach.
And I can't say enough how impressive it is, the amount of work that a group of volunteers are doing and fully getting up to speed on things and proceeding in 50 different directions with things that we're trying to do to protect the lake. So that's the take-home message is I'm not trying to get in the way. I just want to make sure I can have the complete picture. And that it is also very important, I think, that we ensure that the village and the towns are fully up to speed with what we've decided.
Agree 100%. Okay, any other thoughts or concerns about this? Hearing none. We'll move on the agenda. Let's go back up to the top. How about the homeowner tank replacement?
Yes.
Yes.
So I do have the as-built diagram now, and we do have the tank diagram.
Okay.
I'm still waiting back to hear from the contractor about him coming into the meetings. We've discussed it on the phone, so I don't think he's unwilling to do that, but I just have not heard back from him on that. I think if you all are in agreement, my plan would be to give him maybe one more phone call later this week, and then we might still consider that certified letter.
Okay.
Just to sort of put the, the emphasis on it.
Yeah.
It has
All right,
to.
then he thinks we're gonna forget about it.
Yeah, but yet we're not.
He hasn't met this committee.
The other thing I'd say about this is that I did contact Kevin Musser.
Yes,
And asked him, Kevin is the guy at the state who's helping people get money for their tank replacements or septic
the
replacements.
county
The county, sorry.
with the state program.
And he wrote back and told us everyone who's done it with, which I think we knew.
Yeah.
We asked if he couldn't, would it be okay to get our approval before he proceeded with getting the money for the client? But he said he can't do that within the law. He can't do that, but he has been telling people you have to get approval from WSC.
Yeah.
So Kevin is certainly on our side. He always has been. Somebody's got a radio on or something we can hear. Folks, on,
Sound here, Pat?
Pat, you got something on in the background?
I'm sorry, Pat, I just muted you. Is that okay? I think you can unmute yourself if you want. It just says like an anthem to unmute. And Bonnie is on as well.
Okay.
So we're aware.
Okay. All right, so for Bonnie and Pat, I'll just update you briefly that Jake gave it'll be in the minutes, so please read it, on a outline of how we should function going forward in order to coordinate a little better than what we have been. So I'll ask you to read those notes specifically, although I'm sure you read every word in every line of the minutes. I just know that to be true. She gets it. So, okay. Now, we can also send those plans to our consultant engineer. What's the guy's name in Florida, who we send our plans to as our independent consultant?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll remember in 5 minutes.
Okay. We can also do that
Yes.
independently,
Hans.
just to get the Hans, yes. Hans something.
Hans
Hans DeWall.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
So we could also get that step done while we're waiting as well, if that helps. State report was submitted. We're gonna continue to analyze how to improve and specifically, Jake will let us know when we're ready to look at how many of the tributary septics we need to be looking at that we weren't looking at before. So more to follow on that routinely. Okay, 90 action. I took the question from the committee on the timeline for the 9E plan. Jake and I met with Wendy. And what I can tell you is that she said that certainly, if finished sooner, that would be a bonus. But the current plan timeline was approved by the state and has essentially state timelines in there that they think are important. She sees no reason why we can't use the information in the 9E, whether it's submitted or not, in applying for a grant. So that, even if it's not yet approved by the state, she sees no reason why that can't be done. So that's the feedback from the consultants. Any questions on that before I proceed? Any questions from the group, Jake?
Written, I don't see any yet.
Okay. All right, and then there's the partner issue to this is discussion of how we prepare to write and manage grants. So we're doing this 9E so that it will provide fodder, data, analysis, important information for us to get grants. But that would mean we need to write them, and someone needs to be the one who owns them. And we have had quite a bit of pushback on this. So I'd like you to take this back to your towns to see if they're interested in, we can't count on just the village here. So we're gonna have this wonderful 9E plan, and there's all kinds of money, as you've received on email out there from Oakland. But if we don't have a grant writer, and we don't have anyone at the municipality who feels they can take it on, it's a challenge for us. So I think we need to think about that. Why do this 9E if we aren't gonna be able to do this? So more to discuss about that, but just ruminate on this. Thoughts are welcome. But we can't say no once we put this 9E plan in. We're gonna have to say yes.
Routine, if I could just jump in, we talked about a few weeks ago, I am, especially now that I'm getting caught up in a few of my other tasks. I will put together what we have as terms of a list of grants and when they occur during the year. So I should be sending out fairly soon, and then people can just drop in anything else that they've heard about, and I think that should be a good guiding thing that we have is when things are due and what sort of categories they might fall into as far as what they cover.
Okay, wonderful. So I think it's just a noticing that we're so hell bent on this. We gotta get grants in. Who? How? Right? So we can have all the energy we want, but we have to have the human capacity.
So can I just,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how this effort, imagining it running 5 to 10 years, forward, how, with the amount of things that we can find to write grants about, how we would survive without having access to a grant writer. And that can just say, I've got plenty of time to do your stuff whenever you need to do it. It doesn't have to be necessarily full-time salary for, that we would end up supporting, although and there are people that had that group that's just north of us in Mohawk Valley had offered, to help with grant writing, and we sort of tried to get in touch with them, and then they were busy, and we were, not quite in tune with them.
Yeah.
But
Bill Bertain, can I make a comment? Didn't Jeff Katz at one time mention that he offered help with grant writing? They do a good job of it.
Well, he's
been a supporter of this group. So.
yeah, he's right here, Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
I know early in the foundation's life, we tried to figure out a way to help grant writing. We never kind of found a place for that. We're aware of that need, so it can certainly be explored again. The one thing I think when it comes to these grants, and this is the way I thought about this, and Bertie and I have talked about, when the Watershed Committee says it wants to put a grant in, like the Watershed Committee, I don't think has standing to put in a grant, like the planning board couldn't put in a grant. However, as a group, you guys could do grant writing, find out which town or village could put it in, because the more different ones that put in, the more likely there'll be success. And then, Joe, this is really a question for you, because this becomes the really important part is the administration. Could, through a legal shared services document, could the person on staff at the village who does some administrator do something for Springfield or for Middlefield Partigo, just to make it go forward, the village would be compensated for those services, but the grant would be from another municipality, and this group would help create the grant.
I mean, that idea is appealing. Our problem is that we really don't have, our grants administration is really, Cindy, our deputy mayor, and
Right.
Ellen, our mayor, do a lot of that grants administration, and I have told them both, I think they're unicorns. This is not a sustainable approach to, the magnitude of the kind of work these
Right.
the grants entail, so we've talked about, or at least I brought up the idea of a village administrator position being established.
Right.
How we then have that village administrator do everything an administrator does and oversee grants
Right.
and coordinate with municipalities.
Right.
That'll be a challenge, but
Because that is-
we're not at the capacity
Yeah, yeah.
to administer right now.
So
In my view.
yeah, it's interesting because, again, this is tangential, still related. When we elevated Terry Girl from clerk to administrator. It was really, she had put in for the years, she knew the system, she was already administering grant, she came from never administering grant to get into that job. It was never,
Right.
I mean, Ellen was on the board back then, Cindy was, I was mayor. We were not involved in grant administration, we were writing. So the clerk became the administrator, and then the clerk became. Clerk of the grant administration, and then was elevated to administrator, so. It would strike me that your unicorn content, those tasks need to be. Transferred to staff. And not
Right.
elected, because elections can disappear. And
Right.
not be a point.
And I agree with that, and I think we probably need to expand our staff. That's a personal view. That's not institutionally adopted, but. Yeah, that's an issue. Because ever since, when you did the transportation work and everything that's transformed the village. That 10 years ago, I mean, the work of the village has gotten ever more complicated.
Yeah, right.
In a good way.
Yeah,
So I think our staffing model, I think, needs some attention.
Well, that could be an offset of the cost if the towns could be, negotiated with, so that we can help. With grant administration through this position, then everyone's bought in, and this is the vehicle to bring everyone in.
Paul, you had your hand up?
Yeah, if we can table this, I'd like to take the opportunity in the next 2 weeks to approach a now retired professional grant writer who has had a long focus on the lake and see if she might be interested in working with us.
Sure,
That'd be great.
great. I think, the other thing is that it strikes me that the royal we, OLA, OCCA. Community Foundation, the village, I mean, who else? Could literally use that person for whatever grant, for the grant writing piece, right?
Well, I don't know that she would want to do that much.
No, but I mean, in other words, well, what I'm trying to say is there could be a role for someone to do that.
Sure.
It still leaves the administration of any grant that we write still with the owner of the grant, so. There's a lot of things to think through, but yeah, we'll put it on the follow-up, Paul, thank you.
And sorry.
Please,
And we did, the village and WSC did put in letters of support for, this was under Region 8, right? Development
yes,
Corporation. So they are looking to apply for a grant that would pay for a grant writer / administrator that would be used amongst a number of municipalities. So not something we would fully have access to, but certainly an additional service.
Just one last clarifying question. There is, I don't want to be making it up. There is a big difference between a coordinated effort to acquire a grant, but once the grantee is identified, it's that entity's responsibility to administer it.
yes,
And they're responsible contractually
it's a
for it.
ton of work,
Yeah,
it's a ton.
I can personally say just from being here that they put in a ton of hours just on our stuff since I've been here, the village has. A lot of
Team that up ahead of time is important. Also, be cognizant of the fact that when it comes to the other municipalities and any grants with matches, the municipalities have smaller budgets than the village does, so it might be a selective thing saying, go after this one, doesn't have a match, some strategizing in terms of who should apply for which grant.
Right.
Yep.
And again, shout out if we haven't done enough already to OLA for matching the grant for the DAM analysis. Jim, really just can't thank you enough for that. It would not have gone forward.
Yeah.
So please convey to the membership how grateful we are. Seems like not enough words, but just know that we're very grateful.
And she's not here today, but I don't think we can say enough that was
Kyoko.
heavy lift for
Yeah.
Kyoko. That
Very
was not a normal procedure. That was a fairly novel thing she pursued and
She was on
got it
sabbatical.
done.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Okay, the first three chapters, in yeoman's work by Jake to put in all the comments that people submitted. In my case, incomplete thoughts that he made into thoughts. So we've got the first three chapters and they have been sent out to the WAC and the leadership group. We'll have a meeting on February 25th at 3 to get their feedback. We may receive some in the interim. Has anybody responded yet? Probably not.
I haven't had time to look.
Okay.
I'll be looking tomorrow.
Yeah, that's okay. So at that meeting, that will be the focus here in the end, and then we'll hand out Jeff's late paper.
Yeah, and I definitely see value, and you wanted to discuss some of the joint things and trying to get the towns and stuff to work on together.
But they have to
To
wait.
me, it's the
Yeah.
priority, you'll get the paper done. But certainly if we have time, it's a
Right,
very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Goal.
we were hoping that the lake pledge might be ready too then, but I think there's still some work to be done on that. Is that right, Jim?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right, thank you. So anyway, we have a list of possible agenda items here, but the main agenda item will be those first three chapters and getting your input because that's required by the state. So if we have time, I'm hoping we can talk about things that they could work on together and other issues that we're trying to focus on.
And just so I'm updating everybody fully, we had some reviewer suggestions by Florian and Kyoko, mostly faculty members. So I just added people with subject expertise in the terrain or in the wildlife involved, so.
Right, and then additionally, BFS submitted their first sort of executive summary of their state of the lake. That it's not done at all yet, but that was wonderful. I submitted it to the consultants and you've all seen it. And another, we're so lucky to have BFS, who's another expert in the field here to help us get information together. So I think we're gonna have the best 90 plan ever in the United States. That's my goal. I'll be saying that whether it's true or not. Okay, you'll all back me up, right? Thank you. And here would, Jeff.
Can I, while we're sort of doing organizational things, does other people think that we have need of a calendar that's kept somewhere that's publicly accessed for all these different things that we're doing? And what the time frames are? I mean, I do, but sure would be asking, but then I'm not volunteering to want to keep that up either. So I just thought it would be worth throwing that out.
Well, what about just having the Gantt chart be publicly available as it's progress, as we make progress through it?
That part's easy, but some of it's kind of vague, right? Like there's public meeting and then it covers like 3 blocks. So that's like a 3-month chunk of time. Yeah, a lot of it's, I can certainly do that. I don't mind. I kind of already have a meeting calendar, some other stuff. Do people mind a Google Calendar?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, let me go ahead and set it up and then, I think I can set it up in a way where even if you have iCal or whatever.
You're gonna say, even if you're old, you can do it. That's right.
Would you like me to write it? I have a written version on my desk as well for tea, so.
You know what? Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. We should probably put something like that together. And I think giving the WAC and the leadership team that timeline, I think would be a good idea, Jake, just handing it out.
Okay.
So they have a sense of what
Yeah.
we're required to do. Okay, the communication team, Victoria has been unbelievably fabulous as a partner. She's done most of the work. She has set up a meeting with various folks, Cassie Harrington or her rep, Otsego 2000, all kinds of folks for Friday do you know about this, Jim?
I don't.
Oh, she's See, I was so good up until now.
I can forward you the.
Okay, great.
Yeah, great example. To sit down, well, on the Zoom or whatever this Teams, I think, to
Yeah.
talk about how can we put together a listserv if we want to share a public meeting coming up, or if we want to share information about styrofoam or bubblers and de-icers, whether they live on the lake or not. And she has pulled together, the group also has pulled together a listserv according to the tax map
Yeah, tax parcel records of.
for people who live around the lake. So we're gonna maybe
Cool.
think about testing that out. He invited Jake today. Oh my God. Can't
I will
believe
send
it.
you that too.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Jeez, I'm sorry, Jake.
No worries.
All right, and then what we thought we'd do next, and this we haven't done yet, so give us your thoughts on this, committee and Jake. Should we start talking about the next public meeting? I know it's not gonna be probably till March. But should we start talking to the consultants about that?
Yes, now just so I'm clear, because I don't have the damn chart in front of me. Is there a meeting between the late summer one and the meeting that we're doing to review the?
Now,
We do have one February 25th.
but not a public meeting.
That's a good point. No, I think the only public meeting we have is that end of summer one. But I was thinking about that today, and I do agree, we should start collecting our general thoughts. I was planning on meeting with them anyways about the meeting on the 25th. Just to make sure I'm on the same page, it might just be emails, but I'll
Okay.
keep the data. But yes, I want us to really have that down.
Yeah,
Who's talking, who says what,
yeah.
we're
Because
definitely gonna review the slides and stuff at a time.
It might be nice to have like a winter public meeting where we say, I got the first 3 chapters done. We tangentially, we've been working on bubblers and de-icers and styrofoam and communications and all kinds of stuff, just so the public has a sense. I know it's not required by the plan, but. So anyway, Victoria and I will discuss after talking about it here today.
So do we, what is the outline of the agenda for that meeting? What's the purpose of it? Or is it up to date?
So for me, so we had that one in August of
Yeah.
last year, well, very well attended. To me, it would be to update them with, like I said, we've got the first 3 chapters, so that's good news. Maybe the Gantt chart showing them the timeline. Not necessarily with the consultants, but just us saying, we've had WAC and leadership together twice to talk about, different topics. Here's where we're going next, getting their feedback, making sure whatever they want in the 90 is there. And it would be maybe an hour, something like that.
And, you all have an image of where we're gonna have this?
No, I'm just trying to get feedback on whether people think it's a good idea.
So this would be a round table of the principals with an audience of the public, but it wouldn't be like the last meeting up at the state park.
I think it would be, but it would just be us, Jake would, remember, they haven't heard from Jake at all. So it would be an opportunity for them to meet and understand his role and for us to give an update. But it's just a thought, just think about it. You don't have to respond now, but just think about it. It's Victoria and I could work on that. But it's just a thought.
Later in the spring.
Yeah, I'm thinking like beginning of, I'm thinking early spring, like April.
April would be good.
Yeah.
When people can see water again, they start.
Exactly, as opposed to ice, yeah.
You love ice.
Ice is good though, we love ice, but not that ice. Ice on the lake. Okay, so, and the other thing, that I'll bring up here, that I briefly talked to Jake about is whether or not, Jake, it's a good idea to send an update to that public listserv that, the consultants have, that would show them the update to the state. You know, something like that. We could also do something like that. So maybe one or both, just think about it, think about it. We've got that listserv of the public meeting of the people who came, so we could just do an email update too, as whenever we want. I just want to be sure that when this is in the throes of, its finality, that people feel like they were part of it, that they knew what we were doing, and it was not in some room in the dark in the corner. So that's the goal there. So we'll talk again about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The only thing I would want to hit home is if we do an April meeting, we need to sell people to come back in the late summer.
I know,
Because
it's
that's when
true,
we'll have the most to report on
it's true.
in terms of what we found out and what we're thinking about the long-term plan. So it's not a reason to not do it.
No,
But if it's a more brief update, we need to get people jazzed that they're gonna come back at that late summer event and get the whole.
so maybe just an email update and then, you know,
That's-
alert, we're gonna be meeting in
That
person.
sounds like something you all could vote on.
That's right, well, let's think about it, well, I'll have it on the next agenda before.
Okay.
Okay, ag update, had a meeting with a few farmers, or.
Yeah, we had, I thought a very good meeting for as,
Yeah,
a small group as there is. We had, one of them was, from up in, the northwestern part, in Herkimer County, which is, nice to see that we had some connection with that. There was a question, it was an interesting question raised by one of the people there about a problem, which there were a lot of heads nodding that this is a problem for farmers, and that is that they get a grant to do a project that's, say, $200,000. And they have to pay for what's going on up front. And so that they have to borrow money from it because they expect to get some return on the value of whatever's being built or bought or whatever. And that they get stuck with that's an extra cost. The money that they have to pay for getting a loan to get this set up. So I called the people at Farm
Bureau,
yeah, no,
ag and markets.
yeah. Anyway, they're across the street from me, across Clark Pond from me, and I don't think I didn't bring his name, but a very nice gentleman said that he's the guy that talks to them. He's wouldn't be the person to answer that specific question, but he can get them to people who can. So I was thinking of writing back to the group saying, this question came up, these people are available, anxious to help, and here it is. Right after the meeting, Henry Miller, who some of you know, knows pretty much all of these farmers, and was telling me stories about several of them after the meeting. Thought that it would be good to have he was talking about a monthly newsletter that would go out to the farmers in the community. I thought that was a bit much to think of having it monthly. I thought maybe quarterly might be reasonable about the 90 grant, and it would be a means by which we could just send some things, mail it to people, and they can choose to read it or not, or throw it in the trash, you know. But we could put that together, and
Communication,
I thought that was a good idea.
it is.
Henry was willing to get it, he could put it together himself, which I was very excited about things in general. It is an interesting group of people. I did get a text from the individual who owns the farm that runs along Springfield Landing Road, which is very visible because it's sitting out there. There've been issues about the cattle sort of walking in I think it goes through the Mount Wellington. It's tributary that goes in through there. But said he'd be happy to talk about it more and was very anxious to share. And he's getting a grant through a federal organization that's helping him with doing what they're doing. I think that mostly is the plan is to try and keep that together as a farm and not have to sell it. But all in all, I thought that was a pretty good the group had. We're happy to talk about their problems that seem interested and
Good.
the one person who said he was coming that morning said he couldn't come, but then all those other people showed up and nobody had said anything. So,
Yeah.
I was glad that
Good.
Jake
That's important that we're
we
connecting
had
with those folks. That's brilliant.
Let me ask a question. What is the agricultural community's perception of what this 9-element plan is? Is it an imposition of constraints on their operations? Is it an opportunity to facilitate their operations more safely for the lake? What's that dynamic?
I tried to make that sort of gesture with the letter I sent out, and I was hoping that I got some of that concept is that we're both interested in the water that's in the tributaries. We have to share our responsibilities for the quality of that, and that we need to hear from them what problems they have with trying to do their end of it. And I hear it from Henry all the time about the cost of doing different things, and Christos and Rio were there and help and added in suggestions, and I thought it was very good to have
So
the
you
farming community hear that from them with us, you know.
You didn't get a real sense from them of whether they were pro or con 90.
I don't, they weren't talking that much, and I think it would take them knowing us a little bit more to be able to get to that. And this is part of my concern right now about the tributaries is that I'm not sure where we're going to be generating the best management practices, but I think that I thought that maybe that was coming from.
Let's talk about that because this is a great point. We did the whole engineer walk of all the tributaries. We don't want to forget about that in the 90. Is that going to be what's your thought about how we pull that together?
So I just emailed Bill about it. I think a lot of it is still sort of vague in my head because I talked about it with our contractors a fair amount, but it's still so like we had the modeling meeting last week, and Anchor had a whole presentation. We didn't get to the meeting, but they gave to me afterwards. And I think the way this is largely supposed to work is that they produce the model. Once the model is created, on the watershed side, you can very much, it's like a drop-down list. So there's all of the sort of approved BMP possibilities are in there. And they should be getting from the model some indications of where our problem areas are. I think we're probably in a bit of a different boat than similar sized lakes that might have pursued this plan, in the sense that because we've got BFS here, we've pursued a lot over the years, right? So there's probably less of an obvious like, oh, everybody knows that stream is falling apart over there, or there's a huge thing.
Right.
So it might be a little vague until we get to that point where we have the output in the model, and then we can start talking about it.
So I'm gonna,
From there. I just sent Christos one of those engineering things, and yeah, I think we need to discuss all of that. I think I don't have an understanding of those assessments. I have not read completely all the way through them, but I know from comments that Crystal's made before that we should be a little bit cautious about how physically engineered
I remember
based
that.
that is, but I
Yeah.
think we've got a lot to work with there, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it on the 90 pending, so we don't forget.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay,
and that should be coming up very soon,
okay.
maybe even next week at the modeling meeting, I should have an update.
Okay. All right.
on that.
Christos has joined us. I was despondent, thinking you weren't coming. I'm glad to see you here. Thank God. Yeah, so I just think the idea is make sure we don't miss work that we've got that
Yeah.
can inform.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I also thought, like, I kind of sent an email to Doug, I know he's walked these a lot, like, I don't
You
have
walked with
a
them, yeah.
perfect sense of. You
yeah.
know, beyond that report, what really is sort of the biggest thing.
So,
for
I mean,
Watershed.
As I recall, Doug, you can chime in here, but as I recall, the engineer said, this is what we ought to do here. Christos was excellent in saying, let's just temper that with this information that I have as an expert. And then whatever sifts out from there should be in the 90. That's sort of how my simple mind, is that fair, Christos? Okay,
So what we're getting from UFI, they're looking, it's my understanding that they were looking at the engineering reports that we had, that Doug had graciously gotten together by his effort. And I would have presumed that they would have come, some of it would have come out of that.
yeah.
It may, Bill, I've never specifically talked to them about those 3 assessments. But yes, I assume
What's-
so.
what's
Now,
the-
I don't know, looking at it myself. Whether there's enough there to fully like address what we could model, right? Because
Oh, I
some of
agree.
what you're gonna model. Are probably gonna be bigger efforts if you wanna have a big impact, like a lot of the stuff that are in those reports. It's not huge really, probably in terms of the impact.
Well, and there's
Seen
some
a model.
things that
Wait,
probably
wait,
weren't
wait.
addressed.
Christos, speak to us. Tell us what you think. What do you think about this? Heavy sigh, for those of you who can't see him.
That's how we signed on.
Okay. Christos to ruminate, I have that in the minutes. Excellent, excellent. Okay, Bonnie, you had a question.
Well, it was going back 2 steps on, Bill's, when he talked about it was before tributaries, and he was, talking about the organization up on the west side of the lake, which is the Farm Credit East, which is part of the federal land bank system.
Yeah.
Which is part of the, and they, I just looked it up on artificial intelligence, they fund about 50% of agricultural loans in the country. But I think that it would be great if we could be advocates for the farmers in our area to get the Farm Credit East to fund the bridge loans when the farmers aren't getting reimbursed on a timely basis from some of the grants they're being given. Because I have heard that several times as well, that that's almost a reason that they're unwilling to apply for the grant, or allow the project to come on their property. In fact, I think it was Henry Miller said that he knew several farmers in upstate New York who've gone bankrupt, because they missed, they had upfront money tapped out their lines of credit and then couldn't get reimbursement for the projects they were doing to improve water quality.
Okay, so we'll
So that might be a
Note that,
tangible
yeah.
thing that we could end up,
accessing.
Well, I was hoping they might have literature or a course or something about it, that, because I think, I'm guessing that the average farmer, I mean, I don't know what their educational background, but a lot of them, I think it's probably family oriented in terms of what they learned from their parents and how to run the farm. And I don't know where that information is for farmers, or whether it even exists anywhere. Unless you're getting into getting trained to teach somewhere, which would be a lot of time to spend for a farmer whose family needs them to get to work, and get the dirt rolled over, so.
Yeah,
Doesn't SUNY Cobble School have a pretty sophisticated agricultural program that we could tap some.
Well, that's fine. I think it's. I'll check.
We'll check it.
And I think you're gonna find a great disparity. It's kind of like socioeconomic value in the United States. You're gonna find that most agriculture in New York State is owned by big corporations of 5 or 6 related and unrelated members who all have educations at Harvard Business School because they went to Wisconsin and they went to Cornell and they went to, so a very small percentage of farming in New York, even now, is owned by small family farms.
Right.
In terms of percentage, so I think that pathways are out there, but I think that it's part of this, within our watershed, we are not accessing available money. That's an aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I think places like Farm Credit, Department of Agriculture, Farm Bureau, all have streamlined the
Right.
distance for that. But we
Okay.
just have to sort of connect it and unlock it.
Access it, yeah. Okay, so more to follow on that. I want to jump. Go ahead. Doug.
Yeah, just, it's my perception on the modeling that UFI is doing, or the modeling that, Anchor QEA, I mean, one is the Chesapeake Assessment Scenario Tool, and the other is the Sequal W2. And those are the dark, you have neither of those, in my opinion, my understanding, are going to give us specific action with the MPs that, they're not gonna say, oh yeah, go to this farm and do this. What those models do is, based on all the data that's been collected, they say, well, as you reduce nitrogen input to the lake, even though temperatures are raising and there's rain events, here's what will happen. We have to identify what needs to be done.
Yeah.
With ditches, with road salts, with stream bank stabilization, with salt barns, that kind of thing. So I don't think, that, and in my opinion, that's going to be the real tough part of this 9E plan, is identifying what needs to be done, what will have the major impact on water quality. And, get a landowner to agree to work with us, get the matching money in place. And then we were talking about grant writing before, the type of grant that you're looking for, let's just say you want to do a catch basin. Well, there's a specific grant opportunity which specifies who the eligible applicants are, whether it's a municipality or whether it's soil and water district or both. So, yeah, I think I don't think the consultants, UFI, Anchor QEA, they're not gonna give us I don't think they will give us the answer to those questions about what we're gonna put 90 when.
Yeah, so we have the whole modeling thing that says, what if this, what'll happen to this watershed, but then we have BMPs, which are practices that we should put in the 90 for, that should be sustained, including the tributaries. Yes, I get what you're saying. Let me move to the styrofoam letter here. So thanks to Victoria, we have a document, a letter that OLA, VFS, and OCCA are going to jointly sign, which will be sent to the village, outlining the issues that are identified. Yes?
Yeah, I have a note on that. So I did talk to Shelby, she. Well, this is her suggestion would be that it's sent by WSC or OLA or both. She doesn't want OCCA to be like the only person to sign it. She said she doesn't want us to be the lead. But I can check back with her if it's the three organizations.
Well, I think OLA and BFS have both agreed to sign,
Okay.
from what I understand.
If
So,
Lori sent me an email, he said agree.
all right, so if OLA and BFS sign, I think that's plenty.
Okay.
And that,
Not us.
CCA, drafted, I know the idea originated at WSC, but the original draft was OCCA, of course, Joe worked on it, Kyoko worked on it. But yeah, definitely OCCA should be involved.
well, no, OCCA says saying they don't wanna be, Jim.
They do, okay, I could hear that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
She doesn't think it should originate from them. Happy to do the legwork.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I think if we have OLA and BFS sign it and send it, does that seem okay?
Is that with
Those
us?
are
or not?
experts.
Is our name on it too?
No.
Why not?
We're gonna be the recipient of. The way I look at it is that the village. This is in a way, this is a committee of the village. Jake reports to the village. My vision is that by this coming to the village and calls for action by the village, it works better than if the village committee is raising itself. It's a,
That way they can send it to us for comment. We can say we approve it.
We approve, right? Or we can put in it that WSC has reviewed and agrees.
and CC the
And-
WS.
Yeah, so we can absolutely put that in there, but I think it's right that it comes from what I would view as experts, you know,
I agree.
yeah, okay.
A couple of entities to the village, let them toss it back to us, say yay
Yeah,
or nay.
I agree. Okay, anybody?
I got one piece of
Please,
information. I
yeah.
did send that information that you had sent along to me, to Henry. He's planning to put that in the laws for that pertain to the lake for the town of Springfield.
So town of Springfield is,
Well, I don't know that there's anything in there that's law ready. It is an
no,
advisory.
this is a different
No,
issue. This is different than the styrofoam letter.
Oh,
but-
excuse me.
He's gonna put stuff.
I thought that's what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay, that's no problem. But I asked Bill if Springfield, since they're home rule, could put a couple of things in about the bubblers and de-icers and stuff like that. They're gonna do that, which is great.
May I get back to Victoria's second word product, which was the letter to the property owners, which
Yes,
I thought was superb. I don't know what the plan is for dispersing that, but that was a really succinct, expressive, informative piece from my perspective. The experts may have more to say about it, but I think getting that in the hands of folks would be a good
So
thing.
that
Might
would
even
be-
be good to get it in the paper.
yeah,
yeah, so that would be the second step, is getting that to that listserv that you
Yep.
have of homeowners that you worked on exclusively. Same thing, signed by OLA and BFS, reviewed by WSC, blah, 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 whatever we want to put in there, so it has the stamp, of whatever it has, and then send it to the homeowners. Is that something OCCA would do, or
I can ask about that one.
ask about that? If
Yeah.
not, then you can let me know.
Yeah, I will let you know.
All right, I think this is important. It's an important step. It's not waiting for the 9E. It's trying to fix something that's broken in the midterm. I should say broken, something that needs attention. So,
Can I just jump in real quick on that same topic, or well, related topic? So my department, as it exists, has not had any budget prior to me being hired, so I'm working on some budget stuff with the village. I really, since there was no money set aside for me, I discussed with them a single mailing and what that might cost. In terms of like mailings to homeowners, do you guys have any thoughts for what reasonably I might want to have in the WSC sort of budget that I'm overseeing in terms of mailings? How many things do you all think that we might reasonably expect to send out a year?
so we have sent at least 3 mailings to septic owners.
Yes.
One was an educational thing on how to maintain the septic, another was, I don't remember, but at least three. We would do more, have the capability.
Okay.
So I would say a good 4 a year. Now, if we get a listserv and we don't need to mail it out, yay. But so far.
Yeah, the listserv is great.
So far, we don't
That's
quite
fun.
have that for septic users
Yeah.
necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is a
More.
unique cost associated with the implementation of the septic inspection program and how, and it may even involve certified mail, which is very expensive.
Yeah,
Right.
But, yeah, so I make a note of,
yeah, definitely. I would.
we can quantify that for budget purposes, all the better.
Great question. Let me just see, I'm trying to get everything in. Joe has to leave early, so I'm trying to. The regulatory update, the towns and the village, except Springfield's all done, are all working on their community assessments, correct, Bonnie? And the consultants will then take that information and do a cross-reference to see what we can learn from that. But we're on track as far as you know, Bonnie?
We are, I've touched base with all three municipalities of beyond Springfield, which Bill sent to me already.
Okay. And do the consultants have that though?
No, or at least I was holding it until we had all four, because we are trying to leave the month of March for sharing them with each other in case any of the municipalities want to upgrade or enhance their reports. Then we'd send them all off by the end of March to the, or sooner if we are able to do that by March 10th or March 15th.
Okay,
Then we would wait until March 31st.
okay,
But we didn't send just Springfield's off on its own. Because we wanted to wait and let all four municipalities look at what each other had, how they had responded.
okay, wonderful. Wake boats. I think, Paul, you were gonna write something up for Joe to take to the village on wake boats.
Right, we brought up the topic at the last meeting, but we didn't take any action on it, and I was reflecting on what you mentioned before, that there really hasn't been a wake boat impact on the lake yet, not that there won't be.
No, I wouldn't say there's been any, but been minimal, absolutely minimal. Yeah,
So,
and this would be the time to take care of it before we have somebody telling us how many tens of thousands of dollars they spent on the damn boat.
Yeah.
right.
So you just still want that letter?
Right, yes, by all means. And one of the things I think the village can do is certainly control its own dock spaces. I mean, I would be an advocate for disqualifying wake boats for permits for boat slips.
Yeah, and I provided you well, not provided you the information from Lorraine, both the law and the signage. So whatever Springfield and the village want to do should be able to take care of the wake boat.
Okay.
But what do you need something from Paul?
Well, if I have that information, the real question is what the village feels it can do legally as an action.
You have control over that ramp. We
Right.
proved that with what we do with invasive species, so you want us to turn around boats that are wake capable. We can do that, and you can do the same thing up at Springfield Landing using the lifeguards and my folks that are there. And I see this as an easily implementable fix to an impending problem if you get on it right away.
Let me ask you this, how easily identifiable is a wake boat?
I'm working on that.
Okay,
I'm working on that because I have to train the stewards to do that. And this is an issue that came up last year. There's a couple of different designs. Some of our stewards are a little bit more boat savvy than others. I'm working on a guide that will make our less boat savvy stewards be able to identify wake boats.
let me add, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this, but you have a boat, a very powerful runabout with you can tilt the trim and you can
The way they tilt it is
you can be off plane or on plane, and you can stay off plane depending on the trim of the motor. So isn't that kind of a near wake boat itself?
You need to watch the video that was distributed.
I did.
Under what you did watch,
I did.
it's horrendous.
Right, but I just don't know what other boats are capable of
I
doing.
don't think anything close to that.
Oh, okay. Well,
And then,
So you raise a good point, and I would like the restriction because of its issue with aquatic invasive species to include any boat that takes on lake water to adjust its trend.
okay,
Okay, there are lots of ways to adjust trend. If you take water inside the boat, that's a huge challenge for us to decontaminate it. And most of those boats that do that are in fact weight boats, so let's just eliminate both of
Okay,
them with one fell swoop.
I hear you. Yes.
I was just gonna ask the legal minds that we have here, do you have to have that in as a rule if you're going to actually turn somebody away at the boat launch? Does that have to be established first? And
I
then-
think
Well, what
we,
we do, the stewards don't do, right? They call CPD.
Gotcha.
CPD comes down and says, get it out of here, or we're gonna ticket it, because this is a violation of village law.
So,
I don't know what you're gonna do with
So-
Springfield, that's been a problem all along with Springfield.
and there would be a noticing part of this, the signage, the alerting, put it on the internet, and people who want to launch in Cooperstown would know that wake boats aren't permitted.
but to your
I- I-
point, Dave, the police department would have to have something from the village that says we are not allowing these boats here.
And it's
Now, the
very,
police
Yeah,
department,
that's what I meant. It's not as simple as saying.
the police department has been very responsive to our stewards when they say,
Great.
got somebody down here who isn't playing by the rules. They're usually down there within minutes. We've
Yeah.
never had an issue after they show up.
Right, good.
That's 12 years of 13 years of doing this.
All right, and then the Community Foundation grant, we think sometime in February it's gonna be released, so Jake and I need ideas from this group if we want to apply for that grant. In the past, BFS has applied and received most of the money from that grant each time around. Kyoko has had some allocation from that.
yes, even though there was
Of course.
shift.
Yeah, yeah. But OLA has an intern, funded an intern too, right, Matt,
I think they made that commitment for this year, yes.
for this year?
Yes.
So do you know if BFS is gonna put in a request for the Community Foundation grant?
We haven't spoken about it, I kind of assumed that we probably would.
Would? Okay,
I want to talk to the UFI folks to see
Yeah.
how strong they think, how important it is that we continue on some of these projects.
okay, great, great. And then what I would like to know from this group, clearly, people who decide on it are the chair of WSC, president of OLA, and the head of BFS. We recommend to the Community Foundation, Jeff takes it to his board, they can say no or yes, but that's how it goes. So if we have something we want to put in for, I was thinking signage or these no wake boat things and other things, then I just need to get something in writing from folks on that, so that we're prepared when that grant gets.
Keep in mind the criteria,
Yeah.
vertical is projects that focus on the health of Otsego Lake and Watershed. Second says special consideration, for projects that comply or advance the recommendations of the 90 plan, so.
Right.
Not everything is directly to the 90 plan, but the case has to be made.
Right.
It is also tricky, like when Florida put it for BFS. Out of this 3-person advisory committee, of which I'm the 4th non-voting member, he has to recuse himself from discussion and vote. I don't know how it would, again, like I said earlier, I don't know how it would come from WSC, but if somehow they said it is from WSC. He would have to recuse herself
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
discussion, so I'm trying to think of how
How to
to
do
bulk up that.
And if it's
advisory
both of
committee.
us, then it's just you and Jim.
That's right, that's where the power is, Jim Howard.
But I,
Actually, but yeah, it should be open, what's today, I'm hoping like two-ish weeks. I have a board meeting on Tuesday that will decide the allocation and
Yeah.
then just have it up and live, I think.
I just want to be sure we fund the science-based stuff and we fund other things that we may not yet have money for. That are gonna show up before the village does their budget, so. The thing that came to me was signage, but you and I might think about something too, communication part of it for the 90 plan. So let's be thinking about that. Last year we missed it, I just missed it completely, just went right by it. But it was used for good.
May I ask, are you asking for ideas that we would request funding for?
I'm asking for ideas that someone's gonna write up for the submission. I don't want ideas that I write up. I want ideas that other people develop and put forward, and then we can figure out how we do that.
And keep in mind to our.
Sorry, is there a problem? Is there a problem?
Book sale,
Book sale setup is supposed to be starting, so my volunteers are all starting to arrive. So
Oh.
we were supposed to get this room starting at 5. I think you're good till 5:30 if you need it, but if you could wrap up by then, that would be great.
Oh, okay, thank you, thanks for letting us know.
I just want to say our grant form application is purposefully simple. OCCA has applied for grants through us, you know, we try to make sure that people don't have to be expert in grantsmanship to apply, particularly for the lane fund. So keep that in mind as you think about what you want to apply for and who's the applicant. Not a super heavy lift, and if you get a grant, it is literally within the year of the final. And the final report is pretty amazing too, so we're not trying to, you know, be guardians of the greater farm out there.
Okay, good. All right, so we have, I know WQCC was held and it was mostly an update this meeting. But we are hoping that it becomes more of an action approach, and Victoria is gonna lead that going forward.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna lead it?
I'm a, yes.
God, you're doing all kinds of stuff. All right. Christos is gonna lead, all right. Yeah, so are you hoping too that it'll be more of an action oriented group rather than just updates, or what are you thinking?
It's gonna, I would like to see it as a thing that issues or projects that are presented can be either executed by the SWC or any department that has the ability to do that. That's what I'm getting for.
Okay, great, thank you. Sounds good. Sound good to you? Yep. Yes, okay. We did have the meeting with the Lake George Protector Group, human. But it was a good meeting. We got a few good ideas out of it. One of it is, that they charge a $50 inspection every year to everybody, period. Not by person, but everybody gets a $50 a year inspection. I think this is a great opportunity for us to do the same. Want to say more about the meeting, Jake, or?
No, just in general, and I talked to Ellen about it. I think that's certainly something for us to consider in the long run. To me, the concept that I could eliminate the point of service, give me a check,
Yeah,
while I'm going to people's houses,
Right.
would greatly improve the relations and it's a little easier, I think, to swallow $50 a year than $150 while I'm standing in your yard,
right.
so.
And then I loved the science to solutions.
Yeah,
Like, that's elegant to me. That should be the
Yeah.
name of the 90 plan, science to solutions. I'd like to steal it. I don't think there's a trademark,
probably not.
but that is what we're doing. You know, science to solutions.
Oh, you had something.
Oh, Bonnie, I'm sorry.
I was going to add that, they suggest or they invited, all of our highway department superintendents to their salt reduction conference that's going to be in Albany this year. I think a day in September.
Yeah.
And I think we were gonna get that information as soon as it's available from Chris Novinsky to distribute.
Right, and I had put that down in the agenda that it's gonna be called the Salt Summit, and he's gonna send us the information. I would think all the town people who have, and the village people who have work to do around that would certainly should go. I mean, why not? Seems like it would make sense.
And we talk about, according to our vault, as many carrots and as few sticks. But he said that his village of about 800 people had saved it about almost $70,000 a year in their highway department budgets. For salt.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's good for the water and it's good for the budget.
exactly.
I kind of wonder why this meeting is scheduled for September. It doesn't give any municipality a chance to respond in time for the winter
I know.
that's coming up. It should, that conference should be held in April or May, not in September.
For the next year.
Yeah.
It's still snowing In May, that would probably be good, but I can ask Chris on the timing, I think it's either their 10th or 15th.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's up to them, of course, but,
I'll ask about the timing.
yep. Okay, and then the IMAC invasives, OCCA mentioned it in their newsletter. I don't know if any of you read about that, but I asked Victoria to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like a program that we do, but IMAP Invasives it's an app that anyone can download. So OCCA is encouraging our volunteers to learn how to use it and to do some invasive surveys on their own. A lot of our invasives volunteer work has been, OCCA has to be right there with them. So we're trying to get people to go out and survey independently. So that is something we're working on. Right now, we're going to be training people how to use IMAP invasives and having them do hemlock woolly adelgid surveys around.
Okay, good. I didn't know anything about it,
Yeah.
so I thought it was kind of a cool thing.
It is, and anyone can use it. If you want to look at reports of invasive species around the lake, it's a great resource for that.
Okay, I trying to hurry up here. I think that's most of what we needed to talk about. Any other issues that need to come forth? Anything that didn't get said? I sent a note as a reminder to Bonnie and Paul and Bill. I sent a note out to you about budget for coming year with the village. Just if you could respond to me on that, I'm gonna send a note by Friday to the village
Oh, okay.
saying that you all agree unless you disagree. Okay, anything else to bring up? Christos, anything?
No.
No, okay.
I would just say one thing, Christos led a meeting that we had in the town of Springfield regarding their application for a salt shack. And a couple of things came up about it that were interesting. One was that the head of the highway department had said that they estimate that 30%, there's a 30% loss of the salt through a winter if they don't have that kind of a structure to so that salt's going somewhere, but it's a huge cost, and it sounds like it's really worth doing. The other thing is that the guy who's doing the highway department also said that there are grants, or there is a granting facility for it. I couldn't find it in my search in the internet, but for those snowplow.
Oh, yeah, the straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom part of it, that you can require, there are grants available for those, which
I certainly didn't want to say anything while we were on the call, and he was bragging about those snowplow efficacy, but recognize that what we're doing there is trading salt for plastic.
that we're doing.
Trading salt for plastic.
We're saving salt, but we're,
Because it scrapes off the plastic.
that's exactly how that plow is getting so close. It's grinding down on the road. I just think we need to, I don't have an answer. I just think we need to evaluate the impacts of both.
Another heavy sign. Lots of heavy signs. right.
Yeah, particularly because there's some recently published science that says cyanobacteria are benefiting from all the microplastics in the water because it's killing the zooplankton that would be eating the cyanobacteria.
Hot steak. All right, there you go.
Yeah, that's,
Never a moment of rest in the
No.
cyanobacteria world.
science has never settled.
That's right, and
That's
science
true.
is never happy, that's right. Okay, so we're gonna turn off our mics if you would, please, since conversation's happening. That's it for us tonight, goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a lovely
Yeah, sorry, I was on the road then when I was on the computer and all that, so.
Right, so I don't know that there's. Right, the whole thing about. Yeah, I don't know that. They don't have, if you want to leave back their drinking water and lawn, but they don't have. Yeah. Yeah, but I think what's right, so that by the. I think that. Come on in, okay, for. Right. We don't know. Yeah, right. Yeah, no problem. No, yeah, good to see you.